Sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsorry@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSorry. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sorry and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We have returned.
We have. With mayonnaise. And the devil.
No. As you guys can see, mayonnaise is of Satan. We know this already. For those not in the know, this is a DJ stream for Tina.
Oh my gosh. Tina
Banks.
Makes
her triumphant return. We've got some real.
I'm assuming we have some like blackened gift.
We've got some blackened.
Right?
Yeah, we're in keeping with the theme of Satan, mayo. We've got some blackened death metal for you beautiful people today. We're going to start straight away. Notice my accent because Tina's a native. What is she from? UK? Where are you from, Tina? It's that place where we beat y'all up on July 4th. I forgot.
It's like oddly like weird of me to say, but I'm going to say it anyway, is I know the layout of Tina's house better than I know where she's from. Because I remember that time we were on the call with her, and she's like walking all around the house chatting with us.
Was that when she was trying to get us to
well, that's when she was telling us about all that. No, that was when she was telling us about her previous job that she did with music. Yeah.
Shout out to Tina.
That was before I needed help with Thanksgiving meal.
London, Vin and Sorry OG. All right, guys, here we go. Song number 1. The name of the band is Akercock. The name of the song is Leviathan. What's another name for Leviathan?
The devil. I don't remember, babe.
Lotan.
Oh,
good
Lotan.
Lord. Remember that girl and her?
Yeah, but I have
sister.
Listen, I have Spirit of Christ deeper than that one.
Hey guys, mayonnaise band. So for today, we're going to do some new stuff, and we're going to revisit some bands that we have featured before. Hey, Soraya, that cover that features the girl's ass is back again.
Oh, God.
What is she talking about?
There's an album cover where there's a girl, and it's like, she's like literally, just her ass is on the cover. And I'm sure the last time that we saw it, I'm like, look at this lady. But she's... We
did that? We reviewed a band?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
We've reviewed a couple of them, but I do.
Taken from the band's third record, Coronzon, black and death metal from Satanists in the UK.
Tina, when I was moving your notes to Trello, I was like, wait, what are we talking about? And then I clicked on it, and I remembered. You may remember too. Whenever I see stuff like that, I'm always surprised that like somebody's like, "Let me do this. Let's make an album cover, and we'll put my ass."
Well, I mean, you won't know. You don't know if all you're seeing is the person.
No, you'll see her face as well.
Oh well.
I think.
All right. Well, having said that, we are a family-friendly show, dear listeners. Song number 1, Akercock. Leviathan is the name of the song. Tina is the name of the DJ. Shaitan is the creator of mayonnaise. Here we go.
My blood!
And that was Akercock. These guys are Satanists. The drummer, I think his name is David Gray. And I'm looking at an interview here. It says, "My name is David Gray, and I blast for Satan." So there you go. So these guys are Satanists. All right. And so here's what they say about Satanism. Because I do think it's interesting, and it might provide some context for us in the song. Nice. Here we go. Let's check it out. So this is what happens. So somebody's asking him in an interview, "You're also dealing with Satanism. Do you want to share your ideas with others? You want to turn others on to your beliefs?" No. Satanism isn't about being in a gang and having other people reassure you that you think... That's actually a good point about a lot of religion, actually, about what he's about to say here. Okay, so he says, Satanism isn't about being in a gang and having other people reassure you that you think the right things. Weak people go to a church where they can all decide in a huge woolly-minded mass what they should all be thinking and doing. I would never tell another man or woman what to think, and I would never expect anyone to do the same to me. Very few Akercock enthusiasts are Satanists. They're individuals who respect our right to be ourselves as much as we respect their right to be themselves. We are not anti-Christian in any way, shape, or form. Everybody should be themselves, end quote. So it looks like that this isn't necessarily the theistic Satanism of like a Vatane. This seems to be more of the philosophical Satan is an archetype of rebellion and self-determination and autonomy type of thing. It doesn't look like... these guys are like religious Satanists. And as Tina's saying, their image at the time they came out was so against the grain. They show up in suits and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like they're basically the interview title was the Satanists in suits or whatever. So, like, I guess they show up in suits and shit and play. And
that's definitely unique. I've not seen that before.
Blast for Satan, as the drummer says. All right.
I thought we were talking about someone who is, like, possessed by a demon. And it seemed like the demon, at some points, was speaking. But...
He says, "Sunrise is hours away. Precious seconds of life drift away, unnoticed yet perfect, slowly disappearing. I have found the edge. Have I found the answer? Truth is my weapon. Your anger not enough. I wish to be alone with my God. Moving through black waters, Leviathan." So Leviathan is a very central figure in ancient Near Eastern paganism. It's also Leviathan, is usually known as a chaos monster. You know, the waters in the ancient world, including the Bible, was an extremely mysterious place. Mm-hmm. And because human beings are not, constituted intuitively we were made for the ground. We were made from the ground for the ground. And so in the ancient world, you get the tech and all this good stuff, and you get out into the ocean, and then you run into situations because the deep is extremely dark.
Yes, Tina, he did.
You don't have the tools. You don't have Jacques Cousteau. You don't have the Discovery Channel where you're going and seeing these amazing schools of fish, and then you're like, oh, there's sharks over here. Like the ocean was a really scary place. And you couldn't build anything on it. And so in the ancient world, the ocean...
There's a lot of mythology around it as well.
Yeah, water and the sea. And, talking about Loch Ness Monster and things of that nature. Like, we don't know what extinct animals... You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That there's a lot of...
Yeah.
And Israel was not very good at the seafaring stuff. The Philistines were great because the Philistines came from Crete.
Right.
And so they were native seafaring peoples, obviously. But the Israelites were not. But anyway... The sea became an image of chaos, right? Because you couldn't build anything, you couldn't structure anything, you couldn't find any 90-degree angles in the ocean. Mm-hmm. Human beings are constituted to find 90-degree angles everywhere. And so you're seeing all of this, the rushing of the sea, the unpredictability of it, people dying at sea, all that type of goodness. And so... the ancient people sort of personified all of this fear about chaos and mystery and things like that into this being called Leviathan, who then became the archetype for chaos and destruction and, you know, whatever of the sea.
But I thought it was based on a literal creature also. I mean, you have where the scripture talks about God playing, like Tina was bringing up in Job.
Well, yeah,
he plays with Leviathan.
Yeah, the Tina and Saraya mentioned correctly that Leviathan is mentioned by name in multiple places in the scripture, in the Psalms, for example. But yeah, it's definitely featured in Job, where God talks about Leviathan and basically how he kind of has Leviathan as a pet, but everybody else is afraid of him. And so, especially if you look through church history, Leviathan is kind of looked upon in that passage in Job as more of a allegorical, metaphorical of the fact that, because if you think about it, Leviathan is the chaos monster, and Job's life is becoming unraveled.
Oh, shoot.
Right? And so for God to say, I have control over Leviathan, he's telling Job, like, listen, man, I know shit is all over the place, but trust me, like, I'm on the job. Like, I know what I'm doing.
It says further also in the Bible that God is the God of order and not disorder. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. And so right there, moving through the black waters, Leviathan. So I think he's saying that Leviathan is his God. And literally the title of the song is Leviathan. The other thing about Leviathan is that he is kind of a kind of sea beast that goes up against the gods. Like in the ancient Near East, the gods had to fight Leviathan, and sometimes they lost. And they just basically leave Leviathan to his own domain because he was just wrecking shop. And so Leviathan is also another archetype of a chaotic sort of autonomous self-willed being who is like, yeah, I'm causing all this chaos here, but not even the gods can contain me type of thing. And so that's why in the scripture, in the Bible, when the ancient Israelites refer to Leviathan, they picture it as Yahweh playing around with Leviathan in the sea. It's like, your gods couldn't deal with Leviathan. Our God plays around with him like a pet. That was the idea. But he's saying, I want to be alone with my God. That is very interesting because that's a phrase that we have as Christians. We talk about getting alone with God, having a quiet time or whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a very interesting reversal because for obvious reasons, right? He's saying he wants to be alone with his God. Have I found the answer? The currents ebb and flow, rising to the surface from under the depths. Have I found the answer? And so that's an interesting phrase, have I found the answer? And you really can't answer that phrase unless you know what question the person is asking.
Yeah.
And so in the context of this song, I'm assuming that the answer is a question relative to the meaning of life itself, is what it looks like to me. Shout out to Rich. The currents ebb and flow. This fragile human condition and the cold necessity of death. What he's saying here is that death is necessary, but he doesn't tell us why. And I think, honestly, like that's a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Go ahead.
It's so interesting because this part of it, like, I just heard it as like poetic pain in a way, but maybe.
What do you mean?
Like, have I found, first of all, when he was screaming, I wish to be alone with my God.
Yeah.
And also he talked about truth in there.
Yeah. Truth is his weapon. Right.
Truth is his weapon. But still, it's like, I don't know, like when he said, I wish to be alone with my God, have I found the answer? It's like that, like you're looking for something, you haven't found it. Have you found it? Sometimes you think that you've found the answer and then time passes and you learn more and you realize you didn't. But then when he says the currents ebb and flow, rising to the surface from untold depth, have I found the answer? The question comes again. And then it goes back into the fragile human condition and cold necessity of death. It just sounded to me like, again, I thought this was about a person that was battling a demon within them. And when they were in that place, because I think they talked about an exorcism at the end.
He said, don't fear the exorcist and just embrace your death.
Yeah, like that seems like it was talking to
Don't fear thy exorcist. Drift away.
The currents ebb and flow. Like, yeah, like what it sounded like it was talking to like some spirit in him. What did you get?
I think that's Leviathan who's possessing this person and saying, don't worry about the exorcist because I'm not leaving.
Oh my gosh.
Which that's
Drift
happened.
away.
That's happened. Where people aren't going to believe it, but that's okay. We ran into a person who was clearly demonized, and you started praying for them, and I wouldn't pray for them. And you're like, what's going on? And I said, because she wants it. She wants the demon. So there's no reason for me to pray about it because she's cooperating with this thing.
I forgot about that part of it.
Yeah. You're like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you praying for her? And I said, she doesn't. I said, do you want this to go?
That's right.
And she'd never say no. She'd say all types of shit, but she would never say no. So, yeah, I mean, so that's what it sounded like to me.
And you mean she would never say yes, she wanted it to go?
Right. Well, I'd say, do you want it to leave?
Yeah.
And she would never say no, or yes, but yeah. She would never confirm that she wanted it gone. So
that's right.
I was like,
forgot about that.
There's no reason to pray about it then.
I remember praying for like a long time and then getting you involved with it because it was like literally just exhausting me.
Sadie
like,
in the house. Yeah.
Hey, what's up? I emailed you back, by the way.
Yeah. You
Very
got
interested
me.
in your email.
You got me involved. But I looked at her and I could tell I could tell pretty quickly that she didn't want that energy to leave her.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is power. People that have those experiences feel a certain kind of degree of power. That's the thing that gets talked about a lot. I don't know what was going on with her, but she definitely was like holding on to that shit for sure. It's like he's searching, waiting, and enduring the pain of death in order for his savior to come, rather like the death and resurrection. Well, yeah, that's what it looks like to me because, all Satan and Satanism can do is ape or make an impression of God and what God does. And so, yeah, it looks to me that way. I don't believe, though, that death is a necessity. But if you don't have a historical resurrection, then you have to come. See, this is one of the things that's very fascinating to me about, like, the modern thought process of people. They'll say things like, oh, you want to believe in a resurrection because, you have this fairy tale of life after death. And that's called motivated reasoning, right? Like, you want to believe that somebody overcame death because you don't want to face your own death, okay? So that's one of the motivations. So your reasoning is now clouded by the motivation that you have for this desire. But the people that make that critique, and although it's a strong one, never think through the ramifications of the other side of it. Is it possible that you're motivated to believe that there is no life after death or no consciousness after death because you don't know what's in that world and you have no control over what happens in that world? And human beings, especially modern human beings, believe that they've unless they can control something, they want no parts of it. So to me, it's a defense mechanism to say that death is a necessity. Death is not a necessity, and I do not believe that death is natural, and I do not believe that we should accept death. Death is a result of sin, and sin is the problem, and once sin as an issue is dealt with, then we won't have to deal with death anymore. But the song, I mean, lyrically, it's brilliant. I'm sure he wanted those sort of Christian undertones because Satanists do a really good job of irony.
Right.
And so I thought he really did a good job at that. I was not expecting that vocal style at all.
Neither was I. I was pleasantly surprised. I liked the vocal style. It was funny because right after we commented on the vocal style, someone came through. It was
somebody had said like, "Yo," he said something like, "I'm struggling with the guy's vocal style." So I was like, "Yo, I had to post that shit."
Yeah, that was kind of. It's so terrible. I did not see the person's name, but I saw the black cat. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean I liked it. I liked the it's so weird because I actually kind of liked the vibe of the song. It didn't have like this negative feel like I thought it would have. But maybe that's partially the way that I was interpreting the song. But I do think that you know what, at the risk of looking also crazy, I was a teenager. I was in the mall one time.
I remember
and
this is what the band looks like, guys, just so you know. Like, again, they're kind of like really put together, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's a crazy look. That's a crazy look.
And I like this picture, like it goes deep like that. I'm assuming there's also band members standing
Yeah,
in
it's
the
the
back.
whole band in that bitch.
And
yeah.
usually bands, like, it's like everybody has to line up in, like, because everybody wants to be at the same place.
The aesthetic is crazy,
yeah,
though.
it looks really cool. I like that.
Yeah. I could definitely see, like, that would be a crazy image to deal with. Shout out to JLB. Shout out to Middle Earth. What do you give this song?
I would give this one I'm going to go with a 9.6.
What did you have, T? Tina, what did you have? Okay, so let me rate this song. I think I really like the lyrics of the song. The vocal style.
I thought it was poetically written.
The vocal style, I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I feel like that commentator completely like colored.
What?
Because I didn't say, go back and watch the video. I didn't say I hated the vocal style. What I said was, I wasn't expecting that in the vocal style. It's kind of like that, like.
Oh, that was me. At that point, I was like, I like this.
Yeah, I forgot what the genre was that it reminded me of. But it was like some 80s, like almost, it's not techno. I forgot what it was. And so in many pagan worldviews, it's about the infinity, sea, chaos, self, the material world experience. Yeah, okay. So there we go. We had the sea and the chaos, which Leviathan is a personification of, and then the material world, the person's experience within that.
Yeah.
Really, really good stuff. I'm going to give this one a solid 9. What'd you give it?
I gave it a 9.6. I liked it.
We are just at the beginning, you losers. You're only a loser if you eat mayonnaise. Go read your Bible from Genesis to Revelation. The Lord Jesus will not be found anywhere.
I just never tell Vin, because if I do, I make an assumption that would you kiss me?
I absolutely would not kiss you.
So
if I knew that.
I don't tell him.
Yeah, if I knew that,
I eat it in secret.
I really wouldn't kiss you. My love is unconditional. My kisses, not so much. It's my body, my choice, dear listener.
Oh my gosh.
All right, guys, here we go. Song numero dos. From the Tina Bonina stream. The name of the band is Aborym. The name of the song is Fire Walk With Us. Taken from the groundbreaking 2001 album of the same name. This song is inspired by the T-series Twin Peaks. That's interesting. Wasn't that like a... That was like a soap opera, wasn't it?
I don't know. You know how...
My mom used to watch... There was a show called Dallas, and then there was this other show called Twin Peaks.
It's got to be that.
Anyway, apparently, there's quite a lot of metal bands that do this. Aborym play industrial black metal. That's crazy. A lot of bands do it. This album features Attila Cesar from Mayhem. When I interviewed him in 2003, he had moved to Italy after getting sober from drugs. And that's how he ended up in Aborym. We have featured Aborym before with the song Our Sentence from the same album. Here we go.
Okay, Tina, when you said that people, put in the comment section, when you say that other black metal bands do that, are you saying they reference that TV series also?
Twin Peaks?
That's like a common thing?
That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
I'm getting clarity because I'm not sure if that's what she meant.
Aborym, Fire, Walk With Us. Vin and Sori.
Let's go.
Mayonnaises of Shaitan. Let's do it.
And Vin will kiss me.
This does not remind me of Twin Peaks. right.
I could definitely hear the industrial side of that. I think that's an interesting mix to mix, like black and death metal with industrial sounds.
Yeah. It took me a minute to understand what was going on in the verse lines, like what they were doing with their vocal strategy. It was like a mechanized demon almost. Give us a second, guys. We got to address something real quick. Arjuk on her. Actually, I think it's dying down now. Okay, so just to give you guys some context, a crime drama mixed with healthy doses of the surreal. This series is about FBI agent Dale Cooper, who travels to the small logging town of Twin Peaks to solve the murder of the seemingly innocent high schooler Laura Palmer. Almost nothing is as it seems, however, and the show's sometimes eerie visuals, oddball characters, and wild dream sequences drive the point home. Okay, so that would explain why a bunch of metalheads, or a bunch of metal bands, would be doing songs based on this show, because it's evil underneath the... There was another one that talked about it, where it basically talked about it was... you know, a good place, a nice little quiet suburb, you know, and then you go into the town, and then under it there's this like underlying evil. I think is the idea of Twin Peaks, and so
well, yeah, a girl got murdered in there.
Well, it said seemingly innocent Laura Palmer. I don't want to hear anything about it, by the way, because I've never actually watched the show front to back, and I'm very interested in it. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, me too. I
guess there's only 3 seasons of it.
Oh, okay. I saw 2 when you pulled that up. I was like, it's only 2 seasons, but thing to watch though.
Yeah, for sure. I think there were 3 seasons. I don't know, but anyway, so it's the underlying sort of below the surface evil in human beings, and we love shows like that because we believe that human beings are basically good. All right.
Right.
We are the sons. I'm assuming.
I don't even know how you could follow the lyrics as they were going. When you would point to it, I was like, that is exactly what the guy is saying. I would have never been able to.
Well, what ended up happening was the pattern was he would do cleans at the end of the stanza. Mm-hmm. And so then I was able to go backwards and go, oh, okay, that's the cadence. So the second verse, I knew exactly what he was doing. The first verse, it took me a second. And that's why we post the lyrics. Can we get a review opinion on it? What do you mean, Twin Peaks? You know, we've been talking a lot about Patreon watch-alongs. If it's only 3 seasons, I'm wondering if we could get enough people involved to where, you know, when we go to watch it, we'd watch it together. I'm not sure.
One of those platforms, because Patreon still I don't think has a platform to stream or anything from, but I'm sure we can figure that out. On the outside.
We are a Sons Nation, and we do creation of perfect temptation. By the sound is the mission. Through the darkness of future past, a champion. See, I think I'm probably going to guess that there was probably some cult, you know, in the show.
Yeah.
And so that would make sense. Again, guys, please, no spoilers. Good thing Ben Webb isn't here.
I know. Through the darkness of the future past, a chant between 2 worlds.
We are the Sons Nation.
We are
we
Sons
do creation.
Nation. What is Sons Nation? Is that...
I don't... Again, I don't know if... There's probably a cult, and that's why the girl... Like I said,
we do creation, open dimensions, releasing damnation.
Yeah, like... It must have been... And there were like weird, eerie dreams and things like that. So... There must have been some real kind of...
The touch of the infernal creatures never heals.
We are Sons Nation. We do creation of perfect temptation. Thousands of lifeless sounds create trance chant of evil. Fire, walk with us. Yeah.
I like that
through the darkness
Fire, walk with us.
Of future past. The touch of the infernal creatures through the darkness of the future past. The touch of the internal... Where you came from. I came from where you see the dark.
Valley of the Dawn. Interesting.
Yeah. So, okay. So Sherilyn Fenn is the hottest thing in Twin Peaks. That's the review. All right.
That's the whole thing right there.
All right. That's because Sorry wasn't in the movie. All right. Oh, yeah. All right, so that...
I mean... This is an interesting one because I personally don't want to dig too deep because I don't want to know too many things.
I know.
I actually really want to. So
I really want to see this show.
When we live stream this show, Tina, you get a free pass no matter however we do it because you're the one that bought the review that fronted that. So
Agree.
you'll get the behind the scenes information of when that's going to happen before everybody else.
If it happens.
If it happens, you'll get that free pass.
If it happens.
Yeah.
We have not officially yet.
We haven't, but if it's something that we with everyone, we can certainly come on if we do watch it and do like a review of the show, what we thought about it.
Wait, say again.
Let's say this is like we launch phase 3 and we're like, hey, let's watch the whole show. It's 2 seasons or whatever with people on Patreon. But let's say that doesn't happen in season 3 because there's actually quite a few things we've got planned for season 3. Let's say that one doesn't happen. If we end up watching that show on the side, we'll still come through and do like a show review where we say like our takes on it.
Oh, I agree.
In honor of Tina.
For sure. But the concept is very interesting because if you look at the lyrics, it sounds extremely culty, extremely crazy. But then when you add in the context of the show, it is saying something to me in an allegorical level. That these small towns where people, it's like, oh, Americana or whatever. It's these small towns and it's like, oh, this is like sort of the pinnacle of what is supposed to be in a good community and all that. There's all the smiles and then there's the church and there's this like. But
I think there's a lot of toxicity in small towns because there's no escape from it, and the people themselves don't realize that there's a world outside of it. I'm talking to a couple people from our current town. Speaking of which, you guys, we've been having a friggin' crazy ass time over here. You guys heard about the shooting that happened in our town, literally like from where we were, 6 or 7 minutes away. And if Vinny hadn't shut it down because one of our kids won't listen, we would have possibly even been there. Now we're having like a ton of flooding. Like if you guys go on my Facebook, it's Soraya and Vinny, you'll see. Did you post it on the Vin and
I didn't post it yet.
Yeah. You can see like the pictures. People are literally freaking canoeing past the grocery store.
Our town is just getting worked, man.
Yeah, it's pretty wild over here. So anyway, I'm talking to people from this small town, and people are in a variety of circumstances, and like the facts are people fuck up. Everybody makes mistakes, and you can call them mistakes, you can call them sins, you can call them active, like you made a decision and went ahead with it, but it doesn't matter. People still land in situations that are not so good. And the way that I'm watching people make decisions for their life based off of what the town may or may not see or think.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy because, we've been able to kind of travel around, and we went to California on our NAMM trip. That was years ago. But I was able, because I grew up in a small town, so I was able to kind of leave the small town environment. Every time I left the small town prior to that, I always went to another small environment. But then, you've brought me to a lot of like bigger places, bigger things. And it's just, once you get out of it and then you look back, you're like, small towns can be pretty crazy. Like the mindsets, the mentalities, and the cultish, almost like the cultish culture of the city, not just like the cults or the churches within that city, but the city itself and what it creates
is a cult.
It is a cult. Yeah.
That's a very, it's so funny because if you look at the word culture,
oh, you're right.
The difference between a cult and a culture are 3 letters.
Wait, it's almost like it's you are.
A cult is simply a small culture that has not spilled over into the mainstream. That's literally all it is. Some of the practices that we do today that we consider normal. It's funny. My one of my best friends, she had a college thing to do, and it was in humanities or something like that, and it was talking about the Nazarim. These people called the Nazarim, and she talked about they have this ritual where when the kid turns 3, they send them off to other people, right? So,
3?
So in the Nasserim culture, once you turn 3, the parents send the parents send the kids off to these other people that don't know them and nothing.
What?
Yeah. And then
for what?
And then then they talked about all the cultural markers of these people. If a man doesn't like the way his wife looks, he'll send him to get her face cut open. Yeah,
what?
all types of crazy shit, right? And then
what do you mean when you say get her face cut open? Are you saying he's sending her for plastic surgery?
At the end of the thing, you find out that Nasserim simply is American backwards, and so all of our practices that we think are normal. Oh, the kid's 3. Let's send him to preschool for 8 hours to people that don't know him and we don't know. All these things that, when you look at them in isolation and you phrase them a little bit, sounds crazy. Like, really, you're gonna cut your face open and rearrange your face so that your husband can like you a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like all these cultural markers that we just accept as normal. When you look at it from a little bit of a different angle, it looks crazy. And so when you grow up in these small neighborhoods or these small, because it's funny because of the way that my family was, we moved around all the time. So I've been to small towns, and I've been in the biggest city in the world, Bronx, New York City. I mean, literally, we are the city of cities, right? But I've also been in Maine, small town Maine, and it is so different. It's not even. And the ability to create a cult is very difficult in a place like New York City because, number one, people are so cynical. It's very hard to get anybody to believe in anything in New York. But number two, because of the amount, you can literally run into like 500 people in one day in New York City and never see them again for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. That is impossible here.
No,
and it's crazy. One of the craziest things here is like, when you talk about a person in Maine, they'll use first and last name. They'll say, yeah, Johnny Smith from blah, 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 blah. This guy from, it's always first and last name. It's like, it's beyond knowing each other on a first name basis. People know your last name. They know where you live. They know your phone. I mean, it's insane for a guy like a New Yorker who's like, you can just be in the crowd and then pull out and never see people again. So my point is, when you're thinking about this song in Twin Peaks, like the underlying evil in these small towns is a pretty fascinating concept, and that's where Stephen King made most of his millions.
Yeah, you know what's even more
because Stephen King is a Mainer. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. What were you saying?
It's even like more weird when I was in our comment section, and somebody was like, they had something to say because we were interracial, and they were basically saying like, if racism really existed, you guys wouldn't be together, which is just ridiculous. But like, I think back to some of the interactions that we had, and like, it's even more weird. For one thing, I wouldn't have come here if I was you. Now, like, being outside of the small town, like actively choosing to go to a small town, although I can see where, I don't know, that it just makes me nauseous actually thinking about it. So like, you come into this small town, like, remember that time we went into that like friggin' dead ass town in Maine, and like, the town is that small, and the guy was like looking at you like that, you know what I mean? Like, if I was ballsy enough, I would do something to this man. But like,
I was trolling him though.
The fact that, I'm sure you were.
I was all smiling and shit.
But the fact that, like, you're right, like, this town is that small, this place is that small, and obviously the mentalities are small too, but like, that guy felt like that was a safe thing to do. He doesn't know you, and he doesn't know who you know or what you're capable of, but like, he's that small in his mind that he's gonna like grill at you like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, small towns are kind of weird. I don't know, they're kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, when the shooting happened over here, that was one of the big things. They were talking about how small of a town Maine is and Lewiston is, and they were explaining to people, like, everybody literally knows everybody. Like, you're only 1 or 2 degrees of separation removed. So my point is, it is very easy. I'm really interested in this show, and I'm very happy that Tina got us this song. Like, I like the song too, but the show is like, all up in my head now. I'll probably watch the whole thing in 2 days. Go ahead. What do you think?
The other thing about, I know we've been wanting a movie or a show. So the other thing is, you're right. You are only like 2 or 3 like levels removed, because there was, I don't know the number and I don't want to disrespect the people. It wasn't like a giant number of people. I think,
18.
Okay, 18. I was going to say
That's
22.
pretty big for a mass shooter event.
So there's 18 people that died in that event, but like a lot of those people came across our Facebook. Or at least mine. A lot of them did. Where it's like, this is my cousin, this is my uncle.
100%.
You know what I mean? 100%. It was like, wow, there's a lot.
Yeah, if you go to your Facebook, you get mutuals with everybody. It's one of the reasons why we had to bifurcate our social identities, because if people, I mean, people kind of stalk us and shit. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about our ops. But anyway, I really, really like this song. 9.5 for me.
I put up a video of me with the kids, and it had like 15 people like put like a thumb up or whatever.
Like
but there
95
was like
views.
No, there was like over 100 views on it.
Yeah.
But nobody is saying anything. It's like weird. So now I'm going through my friends list. I'm like, you're gone. People are weird.
Yeah. With social media now, forget it, man. They probably got cameras on you.
Where?
9.5. It took me a while. Once I figured out what they were doing, Tina said, like, this is just brutal artistry. I agree. That was just like, it sounded like a lot of chaos and noise, but there was a telos. There was a logos to it. There really, really was. Mm-hmm. And that's one of those songs where it's not like Prague, where, like, this is one of those songs where if you listen to it 15 times, you'll start really loving it by, like, the 7th go-around. Like, once your neurons are acclimated to what's actually happening.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what happened. I did some research on the painkiller thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was a neuronal sort of augmentation that made it so that I could enjoy it.
What?
Yeah, it's really, really interesting stuff. Because the patterns of neurons were not used to that kind of a vocal style. So it caused all that disruption, and so my brain adapts to it, and then boom.
Well, I need to do some research on Bach.
And that's how I know that prog is a trash genre. my brain is never acclimated to.
It's trash.
prog.
Although you've given some high scores to some prog, so this one to me, like that, it had that sort of like kind of like a something bad's gonna happen. The vibe to it also made you feel like a little bit like set on edge, which I think is very appropriate for the type of music that it is. The vocal style before it kind of got to what you're calling clean was weird. It almost sounded like it had like
I know, because that really wasn't that. Yes, it was very mechanical.
Yeah, and then there was even like, remember that sound that they used to? I felt like I heard a little like, I don't know, something like randomly like in different little spots. That it was a very interesting. It was an interestingly put together song. Not my style. I'm going to give this one a solid 8.
A solid 8. I understand. Some of the score that I gave is me projecting myself in the future, listening to this song 10 times in a row and finally getting it. See what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. I don't have with this song, I don't know if I could project it to the future, if I would like it more or not. Like, literally, like, I can say there are some songs I'm like, I don't care if I listen to this, whatever. I would hate this song forever.
You're going to hate it.
But this one, it's a question mark. I really don't know. You might be right. It could be one of those.
But that's...
Because you're right. When I was experiencing the song, I was like, this is so different, the way that the vocal style was there in the middle. So,
yeah.
Well, not in the middle, but it kept going through it. So, yeah. Anyway.
All right, guys, we are going to commercial. We shall return in a very, 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 very short period of time. Time really doesn't exist, but let's just play along and act like it does. Vin and Sori on the other side of the break. I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a... Yeah, we're frozen. Yeah, we are frozen.
Why?
I don't know.
Hello, people.
Can they hear you?